It is now 5 o'clock. We will begin the workshop for the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, May 1st, 2014. We do have a quorum. Welcome, everyone. For the next meeting, we will have, the prayer will be by Alderman Waldron, and the pledge will be led by Alderman Broker. And if you don't mind, and I would like to remind everyone that this is being televised live tonight. We're going to skip around on the agenda because we do have some guests, and we don't want them to have to sit through the entire meeting. So we were going to begin with number 19. It is the discussion to return of nonprofit funds from the health department. And at this time, Bruce, I'm just going to have Dana come on up, if that's okay, and let you explain to the board what's going on.
Okay. So I have an unusual proposal to bring to you guys today. We tried to be very good stewards of our funds that you give us every year at the health department. By the way, I'm Dana Garrett. I'm the director at the health department. Forgot that part. So I'm coming to you today because our budget for the health department is $5.2 million to operate the Rutherford County Health Department. We have a site in Smyrna and a site in Murfreesboro. And you guys generously every year give us $4,000 in that operating budget, and we greatly appreciate it. After the state did their budget this year, it was determined that there was savings to come back to Laverne in the amount of $1,036. And so that's what I'm here for tonight, is to present that we will be giving that back. The state is asking that we use the funds in some way to make the citizens of Laverne healthy in some prevention efforts that you have going either or what. And so when I talked to Bruce and the mayor about this, I said, you know, I would be glad to give you guys some suggestions. You may have ideas. I brought a few things to share with you, just what our community needs. Health assessment said were important and priorities, but I wasn't sure what you wanted from that on. You guys.
Basically, the way I understand it is we just need to decide how we want to spend those funds that are being returned, you know, in a way that will benefit the citizens in a health-related activities or whatnot. So, you know, we thought we'd open it up to the board and discuss with Dana what options she has and see what you guys thought about it and go from there.
I would love to hear a couple of your suggestions. Excuse me.
Pass out. You just take one.
Well,
I had brought just a couple of things. The first one, this one here with the colored blocks on it. This was just a quick summary I put together of a very large community needs health assessment that was done by St. Thomas Rutherford and the Rutherford County Health Department in 2013. So this consisted of several community meetings, accessing and looking at the data, calling residents with telephone survey. It was a very extensive survey to find out what did, number one, residents think were important, and number two, what did the health professionals in the community think were important. And the first one that popped up was access to quality, affordable care. The second one was health education and practical application. The third was mental health and substance abuse, with substance abuse including tobacco. Dental health, obesity and chronic disease, access to healthy food, and our social environment. Those were kind of the top categories that when we asked the professionals and the residents what they thought were important, those were things that they listed. And I just kind of put together, you know, some little simple goals of what we would want to do to kind of support in those areas. And then the level of prevention, I just brought this. It's this one. The definition of primary prevention is the intervention implemented before there's evidence of disease or injury. And that's really been proven where you get the biggest bang for your buck if you invest in primary prevention projects in your community when you're trying to improve the health overall. There are secondary things that happen, tertiary things. lots of departments do all three things, but that's one of the, I just thought I'd share that with you, that the definition of primary prevention and why it's important to think about when you're thinking about how you might spend funds. I'll give you an example of a tertiary, or secondary. You might do a diabetes screening day and offer finger sticks to check people's blood sugars. Well, research has shown us that really doesn't do a whole lot to improve the health of the community. It might help you identify a few diabetics, but usually they've come to this health fair and maybe they just ate popcorn, and so these random finger sticks are not that accurate. So it's not a good use of your program. But if you put the money into a park or a greenway where maybe people will begin more activity and those kind of things, maybe we can prevent diabetes before it gets to that point. So we want to try to do that in advance. There is a wonderful program that I'm sure you guys are familiar with, but it's called the Coordinated School Health Program. So Rutherford County has a great one, and the director of its name is Jana. And I did talk to her just to see if there was a specific need in Laverne schools. And she said that she's trying in Laverne Middle she's built a fitness center in Laverne Middle, but it doesn't have a lot of the supplies and things that it needs, like dumbbells and she's kettlebells and some of those kinds of things that they want to use to get the children active. It would be available to the children who go to Laverne Middle. So I asked her if there was anything specific that she was working on with Laverne, and that was one of the things she was working on. So those were a couple of examples, but I just sort of wanted to open up the floor, and I'll be glad to answer questions.
Well, I think that's two concerns, your children.
Right.
And your elderly.
Yes. Yeah.
So, in my opinion, of course it's the board's decision, I would like to see us choose one of those two directions, children or our elderly. And whichever we could, again, get the most bang for this money and do the most good for those that we're serving.
Absolutely. I think that's a smart assessment, that those are two very good areas where you can do some great primary prevention.
And I guess legal can help us. Well, this is actually our money, I guess.
Yes,
so
sir. Yes, ma'am.
We could legally donate something like that to Laverne Middle to purchase some equipment for exercise.
I would think that would be one of the best.
I think that would
probably
be
the best thing.
A very good direction to go in. I mean, we're not talking about a lot of money, but that would go a long way in helping buy a few things at least that they would need to go in there.
Yeah, and impact children for many many generations to come. Sorry.
Exactly, exactly. I like that idea. What are your, I need input here.
I do.
Sounds fun.
Yes.
Y'all like that idea?
Sure.
So Dana, do we make that initial contact, or will you contact her?
I'll be glad to set that up
And,
to figure out, just get with Phyllis
And Bruce.
and Bruce
Yeah,
to figure out
just-
how to get it to transfer. Yeah, I just wanted to give you some ideas and see what you thought, and I'll be glad to follow up and do all that.
Do you know how long it may be before we actually receive those funds from the state?
Pretty quick. We just found out that we had them available, and I met with you all, and we sent in a letter asking them to please send the funds, so they'll be coming soon.
Okay, so we could probably have a resolution on the next council agenda for June as a nonprofit donation to the school.
Okay.
We just need some documentation on what they're spending it for, and Phyllis can give you the more specifics on what we have to have for a nonprofit donation. But
Okay.
we could probably get that set up for the June meeting, and then it'd be over before July when the new budget
That
kicks
would be
in. So get it done pretty quickly.
Okay. Wonderful. I'm excited. That's great. This is a fun proposal to present.
Yes, this is a very good one.
All right.
Any other questions, Ms. Garrett? Thank you so much for being with us
Thank you
tonight.
guys for giving me time tonight. I really appreciate it.
All right. Okay. Old business, second reading. Ordinance 2014-05, an ordinance to amend Title VII and Title 12 of the Laverne Municipal Code by adopting the following standard codes: 2012 International Fire Code, 2012 International Building Code, 2012 International Plumbing Code, 2012 International Fuel Gas Code, 2009 International Energy Conservation Code, 2012 International Mechanical Code, 2012 International Residential Code, 2012 International Property Maintenance Code, 2012 International Existing Building Code, 2012 International Private Sewage Disposal Code, 2012 International Swimming Pool and Spa Code, 2009 ICC A117 1-2009 Accessible and Usable Buildings and Facilities Code, and the 2008 National Electrical Code. Public hearing will be held prior to our meeting on May 8th. I will open this up for discussion.
I will mention this is the ordinance as revised from the last meeting when we took out the exception regarding sprinklers for 1- and 2-family homes.
Any discussions? This will be a second reading, and we will have a public hearing at 6:30 next Thursday. And again, I want to remind everybody, and I'll remind you again at the end of the meeting, the actual mayor and alderman meeting will be May the 8th, which is next Thursday. Public hearing beginning at 6:30. Yes, Chief, do you have, I'm sorry, Chief has, we have an officer who has lost a loved one, and he'll be attending visitation tonight. Is there anything on here you want us to go on and get so you can?
So you can head up.
No, you're good? Okay. Thank you for reminding me. Okay. All right. All right. If I hear no questions for the second reading, I'll move on to second reading, ordinance 2014-06, an ordinance to amend the 2013-2014 fiscal year general fund budget. Y'all have any questions regarding this one of Philip? Again, this is second reading. Any questions? I have a quiet bunch tonight.
We'll get stirred up in a minute.
Number 6, second reading, ordinance 2014-07, an ordinance to amend the 2013-2014 fiscal year state street aid budget. Any questions? Again, this is second reading on this amendment. Moving right along. The consent agenda items. This is number 7A, approved recommendations for city bids and purchases. Ms. Felicia, number 1, bid fire hydrants and traffic repair kits.
Okay, we did a bid for the fire hydrant and traffic repair kits, and Michael, after discussing it with the guys and getting a demonstration, decided to go with the Mueller, or ask for y'all to go with the Mueller because the repair kits and the hydrants were broken out separately, and overall it was quite a bit of savings, and it appeared that they would work just as well as the American Darlings would. So we were requesting that you go with HD Supply on those fire hydrants and traffic repair kits.
All right. Number 2, bid concrete sidewalks at the Lake Forest Park.
Yeah, this is for the sidewalks and the forming for the pour and play for the sidewalk, for the Lake Forest Community Build Park. And as you can see, first place finish came in under Rawlings Excavating, but they're the best vendor to go with because for the next bid, they're the best vendor to go with, so it's easier to just put everything into one company so they can do their timing. They're gonna have to come in and do some concrete work, then do the pour and play, then come back and do more concrete work.
So first place.
And this is set for the first, June 4th and 5th, I believe, for the playground equipment to be installed.
Yes. Okay, and this is.
Which leads me to the next one, which is the pour and play, which is going to be better than having to do the other mess, and it's safer.
Oh, yes.
It'll be
Is
neater and
that
cleaner.
Handicap accessible as well.
Yes,
That's the main
it's
right there.
compliant.
Yes. Any questions? Next will be purchase and replacement computers for the IT department.
Last month, we were in here asking for computers and for replacements, and when Glenn went to order them, Staples could not honor the price and could not give us the computers. So these are a little bit better computers, but the price is even better than it was last time. Zones was able to give us a little bit more savings, so we brought that back asking for that change in the computers. They're just replacement computers. It's just the same 20 we were going to buy last month. We just weren't able to get those, so we're getting these.
With the zones.
Through Zones.
Any questions? Next will be mower for Parks and Recreation Department.
We've got 3 quotes for mowers for the Parks Department that they are in need of, and they fell under the bid limit, but over $5,000, and we're requesting to go with Southern Lawn Equipment with their 61-inch mower. It's a snapper.
They are right down the street. They have a full-time maintenance department as well, so if we have issues, we can get it worked on
And we have purchased from them in the past.
Right.
They're a good company.
Excellent. Any questions? Okay, moving right along. Number 6, purchase inflatable band shell for Parks and Recreation Department.
This will save us in the long run when it comes to all the park festivals, the 4th of July, Old Timers Festival, anything that, if we have music in the park, anything like that, you'll be able to use that band shell. And I don't know if I sent a picture, but
Actually, it's going to be replace the tent that we're doing.
There's a picture in the package.
Yes, there should be
Yeah.
one in the packet, yeah.
I mean, the tents are $1,100 just to rent those for music every year for old timers.
Yeah,
This
we
will be a
won't rent
one-time
them.
purchase, and we can use it for everything. I mean,
we would still have to rent some tents.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
this one we won't have to
And
rent
it's
anymore.
just yeah. Okay, and that.
Don't want you to think we won't have to rent any, but we will have to rent some
Right,
tents. But
right.
this'll take care of the music portion.
Right, and take care of the big cost of the big tents too. Anything else we rent will be something small for patrons. It won't be to house and keep music equipment clean and dry. This will do that. And it takes 30 minutes to set it up and it deflates in 5. So, I mean, it'll save us a lot of time there too, and got a warranty and everything. And it's substantial. It's 53 feet across the front, 26 feet high in the middle. And it weighs 550 pounds. Comes with its own carrying bag, but.
Does it have rollers on it? Have rollers on it?
550 pounds, yeah.
And I believe that's all I've got on the consent agenda right now that I'm
Any
to address.
questions?
Any questions?
Right along.
And it has 20 tie down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
Mr. Bill will be next. We have software upgrades for water treatment plant, the SCADA system.
If you'll remember, the last week of December and the first week of January, we had an incident and the water tanks got low. And everybody was trying to keep up with what level the tanks were and how we could fill them back up, and looking for leaks and opening valves and closing valves. And right now, we can read the level in the tanks, but you have to be at the water plant or you have to call the water plant and they tell you verbally. And I looked back through some of the emails this morning, and there's an email in there saying, we haven't been updated in 11 minutes. What's going on? So we decided at that time it'd be advantageous to be able to make that available to all city employees and all city representatives. Put it on the internet, and everybody will know. Won't change any facts, but we'll all have the same information at the same time. It'll be real-time information. The SCADA system is provided by a company called MR, and we got this started. And during the process, we found out a lot of computers at the water plant were from 2002. Now they're outdated and they're not being supported anymore by Microsoft and so forth. So the original proposal from MR included some upgraded computers, but I think Bruce and Thomas have negotiated that out with the city IT department, and I think you're going to buy your computers through the state bid or something like that. Bruce can update you better than I can. But anyway, taking all into the account, it'll be $29,091 through MR to upgrade the SCADA system so that anybody in the city can have access to the conditions at the water plant and in the system.
And there's been a many hours spent on discussion of this as well, especially with the fire department and
Yes.
any questions? Approve change order number 5 for the water treatment plant improvements project.
The work at the water plant's done. We're now into the warranty period. This past weekend, there were some leaks came in the roof. We contracted the contractor. He's coming back and we'll repair them. So we're into the warranty period. This is a housekeeping change order. We bid some of the items lump sum. We bid some of the items unit price. And some of the unit price items we used fewer than we estimated. So this is a deduct of $1,156 because we used fewer of the items than we anticipated. This also adds 21 days to the contract time. So, excuse me, I stand corrected. It adds 79 days to the contract time. This gets all the paperwork where it balances, and it's a savings in money. So we recommend approval.
Any questions? Okay, next we'll move out to change order number 1 for the small diameter water line project.
This past week, the contractor was working on Dick Buchanan Street. There was a 2-inch line out there that we knew was there. It was on the city plans, but there's still customers on that line. That was news to us. And when the city cut the 2-inch line off to kill it, we killed 23 customers. So they turned the line back on. Before we took bids, I sat down with Steve Welch and Kyle and Mike, and we tried to put everything in the bid that we thought we might need. Even if we didn't know we'd need it, we thought we might need it, we put it in the bid. We did not anticipate doing service taps on that 18-inch line. So this is a contract, change order contract to get a price to tap the 18-inch line so we can serve those customers straight off it. Also, all the rest of the customers, we're going to open cut the street to go from the new main to their house. And then a subdivision street, I don't mind doing that. But on a street like Dick Buchanan, I hesitate to do that because it'd be such an inconvenience to the traveling public. So this change order also includes boring under Dick Buchanan Street with the new service lines. So that's included in here too. And this is extra work for the contractor, so he's asked for 21 days extra, which I think is reasonable. We think he can do about 1 tap a day, so it's 23 taps, so that's about 21 days. Our contingency budget on this project was $213,000. This is in the neighborhood of $31,000, so we'll still have significant contingency if you approve his change order. So we recommend you approve his change order.
Any questions? And I think that's going pretty smoothly though, getting those in. Excellent, excellent. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. D, approve Amendment 3 to the agreement with the Tennessee Department of Transportation and the City of Laverne for the Hurricane Creek Greenway project. Kyle, you have that one?
Mayor, this basically just gives us enough time to get the notice to proceed with construction. We had a July 7th, 2014 deadline, which would have put us probably not meeting the deadline because of the property acquisition with the Corps. The state, knowing that, they agreed to give us more time to obtain the notice to proceed with construction so we don't lose funding. And we're not going to stop or slow down on obtaining the property. We're still waiting to hear back. The Corps has everything they're supposed to have from us. We're still just waiting to hear back from them. And then Evan, I think next week, is going to file the condemnation on that one tract that we need. The other tract has been acquired though. Wow. So we're not slowing down or anything. We just had to have more time because of the issues of obtaining the property.
Any questions? Thank you. Next, approve master subscription agreement with iCity Corporation for a city app for mobile devices. Bruce, you gonna take that one?
Yeah, I can start on this one. We've been talking for a while about having a city app to put on mobile phones or iPads or tablets, and we found this company, and they came in and did a demo with some of the staff. I unfortunately was not here for that, but from what I've heard, it went really well, and we were impressed with what they could do. Essentially, an app is kind of an extension of your website, but it's separate from your website, and it allows you to get information out to your citizens and in a better way, for their mobile phones. So this is the contract here that we would like for the board to approve. The upfront cost is $1,000 for the setup, and then they charge $4,000 per year for the actual service. And then there's like a $99 app store fee we have to pay to Apple, but that's separate from this. So this is a 3-year term, so that's essentially what this item is.
Now, this is the same app, correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm going down the road and I see a big pothole, I can get on this app, I can send a message to Public Works, give them the, I'll click on you. And that can go directly
Yes.
to the Public Works Department.
There is a reporting feature in there where you can actually sit there with your cell phone and take a picture of it, and it also gets the GPS coordinates off of your phone, and it sends all of that to the department. It's not just for potholes, it's for signs and lots of other different
Exactly.
areas. It's for a lot of different areas, but that is one big feature of that app.
It was pretty exciting. Very exciting. Any questions?
What was the turnaround time?
I think he said 6 weeks, 6 to 8
It
weeks.
was pretty quick.
So it's pretty quick.
We could go to the retail job and say it's coming, because you can also put like restaurants and things like that, retailers on there, features about the city.
And you can actually promote the businesses through the app, and you could actually even charge the businesses, to advertise on your city app if you wanted to. So you could kind of recoup some of your costs that way, or if they have specials or coupons that they want to promote to the residents, you could put that on there as well. So there's a lot of benefits to it.
Sounds good.
And we could do that through part of that through our buy local campaign that we've got also. Put those businesses on there.
Absolutely. Any questions? Okay. F, approve proposal from Wiser Consultants for engineering services for the turn lane project at the intersection of Murfreesboro Road and Waldron Road, west near Shreveman Boulevard. Yes.
This is basically, we've been receiving several complaints since that Waldron Road completion because of there's no dedicated right turn lane anymore, and it's causing a backup in the morning. So I know next year's budget's going to be tight, but we still wanted to figure out what we could do. So this is basically just as you can read in the scope of services, it's basically just doing the survey and then using all the survey information to try to figure out, can we even get this project to work? Will it fit in the existing right-of-way? Will we have to purchase right-of-way? Give us a good understanding of what we do have. That way, you know, maybe the next budget cycle, and who knows, maybe once we get the results back from this, we may be able to fit something in next year. I'm not real sure. But we first need to make sure we've got enough right-of-way and room available to be able to get this to work. The last sheet shows there's a drawing on the last sheet that shows in green the areas that kind of we're talking about. Now that's not set in stone, the lengths of those or anything like that. That's just gives you an idea kind of what we're looking at doing.
This is, we've got to do something here. We were on a call one morning, and they were lined up, completely stopped, all the way around, almost past, isn't it Moore Lane, that's the very last road before Willowview?
Yes.
Okay, they were backed up,
Weatherford.
from there all the way back past that bridge at a complete stop. So we've got to do something. I mean, this is just, it's ridiculous when you see that line of traffic.
And the other problem we have is the other green area.
Yes.
Indicated, that's a tremendous problem in the afternoon.
Yes, it is.
When people are trying to turn, coming back southbound at the city limits county line, because you've got the bridges there, and I know we've had discussions about that quite a bit. Garland stopped with the DDOT folks more than once about, why don't you do something with those bridges? Give us that turn lane all the way back into Davidson, because it backs up there all the way back beyond the scenery.
It does. It sure does.
Like I say, this is not a full design. This is just more of a concept to where we would have a concept plan to at least go from maybe a cost estimate, and like Chief State and Garland has talked with the state. I mean, if we had a concept plan put together, the state may, you know, help us later to get them to participate in the cost or to get something done.
They're gonna have to do, the Murfreesboro Road part, they're gonna have to do, that's 4170,
Yeah.
and the bridges, there's no way in the world, I don't think we could do that.
No.
Now, the only thing that they'd allow us to do some of, we definitely wouldn't be able to, as far as cost-wise, do something with the bridges, but I think we can maybe extend it all the way to the bridge, if possible. I know we're gonna have to do some drainage work, and that's the reason why that's theirs. We probably could already do it, but there's some drains out there that we'd have to work with TDOT on to get moved, and
But it's not gonna give you any more.
there's not a lot without doing something to the bridges.
And that's been contingent ever since I've been here. When I was in public works, it was an issue, and it's just gotten worse, the more traffic.
I have to agree. Any questions? I'm happy to see this on here. Very happy. Okay, no questions. I'm moving on to new business. Motion to appoint or remove board members. We have one vacancy on the Historical Preservation Advisory Committee. We have one vacant position on Stormwater Appeals Advisory Board, and one term is vacant on the Construction Board of Adjustment and Appeals. And I don't think we've had anyone to sign up.
No, I don't have any applications for any of these. If we don't have any by next Thursday, we'll take this off the agenda.
Next, first reading, ordinance 2014-08, an ordinance of the City of Laverne, Tennessee, adopting the annual budget and tax rate for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2014 through June 30th, 2015.
Mayor, Board, we went over all the various budgets during our budget workshops. If you have any questions, we'd be glad to answer. I do want to inform you that we made a few slight changes since our last meetings. and I want to go over those changes. In the general fund, we increased revenues for permits, building permits by 40,000, electrical permits by 10,000, and TDS cable by 12,000. And that was to accommodate some expenses that we're going to incur this next year. Those expenses are in the IT department. We had not included a documents online maintenance. That's our Laserfish maintenance program. That cost us $12,000 a year. There was a recommendation for the space needs assessment. That's $50,000. That's all of the changes in the general fund. In the stormwater fund, we increased expenses by $13,000 to start the Power Saver device program. And in the water and sewer fund, we increased the water fund by $12,500 for the space needs assessment and $19,000 for the water Power Saver device system. And in the sewer fund, we also increased that expenses for that fund by $12,500 for the space needs assessment and $19,000 again for the Power Saver device program. These were recommendations that were made after our last discussions at our workshops.
Any questions?
One thing that we do need to discuss is the tax rate. Our current rate is $1 per $100 of assessed value. I got a copy of the proposed certified rate today from our assessor in Murfreesboro, Rob Mitchell, and the certified rate based on the new assessments is 99.43 cents. So essentially the certified rate is, just over half of a penny less than the dollar. So the board would need to make a decision whether to go with the certified rate. In theory, it will not increase our revenues any more than what was projected because it is based on those new assessments. The other option is to leave our rate at $1. We have to do some different advertising if we're going to exceed the certified rate. But, it's a decision of this board as to what tax rate you want to go with. And there is a copy of that calculation form for the certified tax rate. I don't know that I could explain it to you, but it's there.
A half a cent, huh?
Well, it's not really good. Wow. Ms. Phyllis, what would you suggest? Just leaving it alone, or
I think we could possibly, definitely stay with where we're at. I had the county tax assessor's department to rerun our property assessment values yesterday, and with the new appraisals and stuff, we're still pretty much at the same assessed value. It didn't increase or decrease. It increased just slightly, but not enough to make any adjustments to our budget or anything. So, for the properties in Laverne are staying pretty consistent.
I mean, to me, that is $1.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth the headache of messing with it.
So,
Leave it as is.
yeah. Which I was pleased that, basically this is telling me we're really right on the money of with what we're doing. And how do you even adjust a half a cent? I mean.
It's pennies.
Yeah, when they calculate the tax bills, they would just use
Fraction.
4 decimal points instead of, $1 even. So I don't know, it wouldn't make a whole lot of difference.
Any suggestions? I mean, just
Leave it like it
alone?
is.
Leave it like it is.
Leave it at $1.
Okay,
Okay.
Hey,
all righty. Any other questions? Thank you.
thank you.
All righty, number 10, first reading, ordinance 2014-09, an ordinance to amend Title 7 of the Laverne Municipal Code by adding a new chapter 7 regarding the creation of the Laverne Fire Department Volunteer Division.
I'll let you handle that one.
I figured that's a peepaw thing.
I think it's Assistant Chief Clark's turn. So moved. Assistant Chief Clark, would you like to join? No. This is basically, we're going to start a volunteer division, as we said when we were doing the buyout of the other department. We were going to offset some of our cost of putting on paid personnel by starting a volunteer division. We have a whole lot of interest, and we always have through the years, in having a volunteer division in the city. So this is basically just the legal portion of what Bruce had to draw up and bring together for us to be able to do so. It's already been run by TML. The workers' comp, all of those things have already been taken care of. It will be at age 18. We'd originally put it at age 21, but we moved it back to age 18. We run that by TML. They were fine with that as well. The only difference these volunteer firefighters would have from our paid firefighters is they will not be allowed to drive apparatus. They will be able to fight fire. They'll be able to do everything else that all of the other firefighters would be able to do, with the exceptions of being able to drive, which that's 21. So that's basically just, this is the legal side and putting it in writing so that we can start that program.
Rick, I remember when I moved here in '70, the little place across the railroad track, they had all kinds of young men that volunteered.
And hopefully we have other programs that we're going to bring on after this. The volunteer program is just the first step. We're going to do a junior program as well. We're just hoping that this will start bringing from our youth on up. This will also be a hiring pool when we get to our next steps, when we're going to be hiring firefighters, or if we lose firefighters, which we lost one today to the city of Columbia. Yep. So things happen when we lose firefighters. We're going to be able to put on 10 to 11 firefighters, volunteer firefighters, that we'll be able to do in our next hiring. We'll be able to move these people up, hopefully, and they'll be in our hiring pool. They'll be familiar with the area, the apparatus, the personnel, the city, the demographics. So, I mean, it's a very, very good program, and we have a lot of interest in it. So hopefully this will help offset a whole lot of costs, because personnel is our biggest cost.
And a whole lot of firefighters started in volunteering.
Whole lot of firefighters. Whole lot of firefighters. So.
Any questions? Any questions? Thank you.
That was too easy. Clark is up next time. He didn't have to speak.
Resolution 2014-14, a resolution to adopt a portable construction water meter policy. Ms. Phyllis, you or Bruce have that?
I can take this one.
Okay.
We have one fire hydrant meter that we have in the city, and we don't really have a good policy for how that is rented out or loaned out, whatever term you want to use, to either builders or other companies or businesses that need to use it. So this is a policy that we've come up with. There are some fees and everything that we're looking at that are over and above what we currently do. For instance, they'll have to make a $1,500 deposit. These meters cost around $300 to $3,500, if I remember correctly. Okay, so I mean, there are very expensive meters. I think our current deposit's like $500. So we thought we needed to increase that to help protect the city. Of course, only the city staff will be doing the installation or the relocation of these meters. And so there's fees for that. And then when they do bring these meters back, we have to run a backflow inspection on them to make sure that that still works properly. On that second page there, you'll see there is a highlighted area. That's something that we're still talking about as far as how we want to do, if we want to set up a water billing account for these meters. We're still kind of working that out. So we'll have that settled and ready for next week. You know, this is just some additional cleaning up of some policies and getting them on the books. And And I think we're looking to possibly buy 1 or 2 more of these meters in the future, because with only one, you can't really do a whole lot with that. So we wanted to make sure we had a good policy in place.
Any questions?
We're so
I
agreeable,
know.
aren't we?
Resolution 2014-15, a resolution to write off uncollectible property tax accounts.
We received an order from Chancery Court where they had dismissed a list of property tax bills from 2002. The main reason is, I believe, is because they're over 10 years old. So in due process of keeping our books in order, we needed to write these off of our books as well. And then there's also another one that is from 1990, and that's in Exhibit B, which is like $25.35 that we need to write off as well. We haven't been writing off property tax bills in the past, but we probably need to start doing this on an annual basis, just like we do with the water department bad debts. And so this is kind of our first foray into doing this on an annual basis.
Is this going to be also like the water bill? If these go to Chancery Court, that eventually we would possibly...
Well, these have already gone through Chancery Court.
Okay.
And they've been unable to collect them, so they've dismissed them because they're over a certain age and they can't collect them anymore. So there's really no way that we can collect these at this point because it's over 10 years old. And that's, I believe that's the state law on that.
Just curious. Any questions? Number 13, Resolution 2014-16, a resolution of the City of Laverne Board of Mayor and Aldermen to declare certain property owned by the city to be surplus to the city's needs and directing disposal of the same.
There is a list of items in this resolution from Public Works and from Police Department. There are several vehicles involved. Couple of actually I think there's a total of 3 city vehicles, and then there's several that from the police department that are seizures, either from revoked or DUIs, drug seizures, whatever. And then of course there's a bunch of evidence items that we're going to try and sell. And you'll be able to look through that list there. This will be the last surplus auction item we have during this fiscal year, because the auditors don't like for us to have it during the month of June and July because we're dealing with year end and all of that stuff. So this will be the last one for this fiscal year. We probably won't do another one until probably, my guess is August. So this is a long list.
Very long.
It took me a while to put this one together.
And the chief will be happy to get a lot of that stuff out from back there.
I'm sure.
Any questions? Resolution 2014-17, a resolution requesting the Federal Aviation Administration and the State of Tennessee to take action regarding regulations for unmanned aerial vehicles. Y'all remember last month we did discuss, I say names. We all know that legally there is nothing that municipalities can do, but we're wanting to send this resolution to the state, asking them to please consider having some regulations for these, where municipalities at least can have some knowledge of what's going on in the air around the homes. Did I explain that well enough?
You did, and this resolution has not been written yet. We'll have it ready for next week, but it will go to the FAA as well, because they're the ones that really hold the keys to the whole vehicle. and they have to give their blessings and let us do whatever, so we'll have that ready for next week.
Any questions? Next, we'll move on to number 15. Motion to approve interlocal agreement with the town of Smyrna to provide wastewater treatment services for the proposed Oliver Constable development on Blair Road.
As y'all will remember, I mean, this has been an ongoing process for 6 months or more. I'm not exactly sure how long. We had approved a agreement September, October, I don't remember the exact month now, and sent that to Smyrna. They have since taken it and weren't very happy with some of the language in it, so they basically rewrote the agreement, and some changes are in here. I don't think it really affects us a whole lot, but this is for a term of 25 years, and then there's some automatic renewals involved there. But I think the biggest change is that when this property is developed, we're looking at, and Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, the sewer lines inside the development will actually be in a public easement owned by Smyrna. What we had originally, not owned, but Smyrna will have access to. Originally, we were looking at just doing master meters, and basically the sewer lines would have been private and gone to one collection area for Smyrna. But now Smyrna would rather have the sewer easements where they would maintain the lines and all of that sort of thing. Also, there is a capacity fee that Smyrna is wanting to help pay for their sewer system, essentially. It's $2,400 per unit, which of course will be passed on to the developer. They will have to pay that to us, and then we'll in turn have to turn it and pay it to Smyrna. I'm thinking those are the major changes to the agreement, and Smyrna has already approved this at their last council meeting, so it's back in our court again.
I saw Phyllis go,
You're pulling it up on the screen now, just trying to see how the building is going to work on that.
Well, it's my understanding we're still going to have a master water meter.
Would we bill for the water and sewer, and then
Yes.
Smyrna bills us?
Yes, that's my understanding.
That's the way it looked like in here to me. Now, one question I had was the, looks like they've got a sewer meter in here now too. So I don't know why they put that in there whenever we was discussing just charging them the master meter for the water.
If they had a sewer meter, we won't have to bill them for the sewer bill.
No, we would have to bill each customer and pay it.
If there's a meter on it, why wouldn't Smyrna?
Well, we would pay what the master meter says, so we would have to charge residents to get the fee to be able to pay them.
Look at me to see what their fees are, so we can set up a special fee just for those customers.
and I'll be honest, I want, is there any, and this again may be illegal, he is discussing at this time to do a gated community. Can we put that verbiage in there that this, we don't want to okay this and then them turn around and say, oh no, I'm going to build a subdivision.
I think they've got in here,
Yeah.
this development don't take place, this becomes
The agreement's
null and
Okay,
void, yeah.
because like I said, I haven't read all the way to the
And
end.
then-
I just want to make sure that's in there,
And then I
yeah.
think in the beginning of the agreement, like I say everyone had to, I know he's reviewed this more. I think at the beginning of the agreement, it kind of follows our process. So as long as it follows our process and gets all our approvals and the development takes place, then, you know, this will be in effect. If they don't go through plan, you know, like if they start changing stuff, you know, and they get denied, then this becomes null and void.
Just wanna make sure. Any question, guys, on this? I mean, be sure and read through this thoroughly, and if you have any questions next Thursday night, don't hesitate to bring those up, or any concerns. And same with you guys. If y'all think some things out, Michael or Neil or any of y'all think of anything, please bring this out at the meeting next Thursday. Be sure and please read over this. If I have no more questions, I'm going to keep moving. Motion to approve agreement with the Baseball Players Association to conduct tournaments at Veterans Memorial Park. Mr. AC?
Well, but that's, since we had the ordinance, or the municipal code changed last year, so now we can accept payments for tournaments, we thought we'd put, you know, it's a general agreement, what we're trying to put together so that, you know, they can come and have just, you know, like weekend tournaments and that's it. I'd like to maybe in the future look at probably saying if they're going to do 4 tournaments a year, go ahead and draw, if we could do that, you know, an agreement to cover all those. I don't know if we can do that or not, but for now, we just want to get, you know, approval for this coming weekend, and then, or the ones after that. We got 5 tournaments this year, so this spring. So, and it's basic. It just covers the fees that, you know, a few rules and regulations and what they'll be paying us, and you know what's expected of them, what they can expect from us.
Questions? Comments?
I'm not sure if Evan has reviewed this one yet, so we'll make sure that he reviews it by next week. So there may be some minor changes to it by next week. I mean, there's no dates in this agreement, so I suspect that may be one thing we'll need to add. But
we knew it wouldn't be ready for this weekend, and the tournament starts Saturday, but we'd like to get it in place before the next one gets here.
Number 17, motion to approve agreement with Laverne Rescue Unit, Inc. to provide extrication services for the city of Laverne.
Mayor, this is the next agreement with the rescue unit. It is an 18-month contract that would begin on July 1st of 2014 and go through December 31st of 2015. The compensation is the same. It's still the same $40,000 per year, but with it being 18 months, we had to reword that. Also, we would provide up to $3,000 for extrication technician uniforms, and then the city also will continue to pay for the fuel, which there again is 18 months, so it's $5,000 per year, so it'll be $7,500. All of that is spelled out in here. There are a few very minor changes from our existing contract. And it has been given to the rescue squad, and as far as I know, they are okay with it, but we will make sure before next week and go from there.
Any questions? Phyllis?
Do we know why they wanted an 18-month contract? Because that makes their next contract right in the middle of the budget year, and if there's an increase or decrease, it makes us have to have a budget amendment.
Because we have given them a date, and Ricky could probably explain this better than I can, of December 31st, or January 1st actually, 2016, as far as when the city would start doing extrication services. And they have been made aware of that date.
I won't be able to vote for it. They hadn't, I mean, they kept us from getting tars. The guys have been trying to practice extrication. They won't come over and let them help use tools. I'm just going to be honest, I won't go for it. I know this is what seems to be the thing now, but I can't do it. They're not helping out. I know the real story behind the TARS thing. I've heard it. I'm just can't do it. Not in good conscience.
Well, let's discuss discuss it. I mean, this is the
I mean,
time now to bring this out.
These fire
It
guys,
is-
they've been practicing extrication. They have to get trucks from Rutherford County
That is true.
in order to just use tools, because rescue squad won't come over and do anything with them. I mean, they've tried working with them. We wanted to be, you know, an associate member of TARS. Apparently, one of their members spoke badly of the city and everything else, and
That was true. That did
And they
come
said
from the
no.
state president.
then they said they wanted us to be members, knowing good and well, I don't know anything about being a member, but there's no way the city's gonna be a full member of TARS, because we're not gonna paint our trucks green striped and everything else. I can't go for it.
Are we ready to do extrication ourselves? I mean, because we're going to have something in place.
The date was set. We have had meetings with the rescue squad. We've had Dana and that group over with us to have meetings. We had the meetings to get this contract to the point that it's at now. We have asked for some things, as the vice mayor said. We've asked for some help with some training, with some equipment and things. The things that they brought back up to us was some legalities. They thought there would be some liability issues involved if we got hurt using their equipment or vice versa. These are the same type things, though, that we ask of Rutherford County to do with us. And just today, we actually borrowed the Rutherford County Fire and Rescue vehicle, tools and all, and drove it to Laverne to use it. So I'm not understanding fully where they think these legal issues are coming up, that somebody's going to be liable. Your question is, are we ready today to take over vehicle extrication? The answer would be no. We do not currently have the equipment to do so. We have the training and the manpower to do so. We have to respond to these MVAs. Fire department by TCA code, we are in command of any motor vehicle accident involving injuries in Tennessee. So it is our role nationwide. The fire departments across the nation at this point in time, most all are doing vehicle extrication. It is what we're looking into doing. We set those dates the way that we did to give them an opportunity. There are prerequisite requirements for our volunteer division, for our new hires that we put in. We've given the rescue squad members during those meetings those same prerequisites. We offer all the training that we can to them free of charge. We've offered up and given them the calendars for free training from the county. We want them to be a part of our volunteer division, even moving forward with this extrication process. But I would have to agree with the vice mayor. We've had two different occasions now, A shift, B shift. Chris, anytime you want to step in.
It's just not working. I mean,
I guess my question to y'all is this, though. If we're going to go there in 18 months, but right now we're not ready to do it ourselves, what's the option? I mean, we vote no on this. I mean, can we not restructure this contract at this point to get some of the city's needs?
We've looked at every option that we can with it, and from our perspective in fire, because of not even knowing where we were going to go with this contract, they could have come up and said, well, we're not even interested in renegotiating the contract. We're not going to give it another day past tomorrow. Obviously, it's our role. We have to take care of that for the city now. We're a city entity. We have to take care of it. We have to be ready to take care of it. We've priced tools. We've modified equipment already. The extra training is going on. We have programs that are in place through the county already to have someone in place within 48 hours. We've even went so far as to be able to have tools sitting on our apparatus within 48 hours. It would take some money to do that. But basically the same money that you're about to give them to do this same job. So it would be a wash. So to answer your question, could we do this? In 48 hours, yes, with the approval of taking the money that you're going to approve there, put those tools on our current equipment. Now there's a two-part to this. Later down in the agenda here, you're going to see that the bids came back for the new apparatus. That new apparatus does contain the equipment to do full-blown extrication for the city of Laverne. Everything that we would need is included in the price and the cost of this apparatus. But those, as we've said before, two of those vehicles have a 6 to a 7 month delivery time. The aerials that'll be involved in that have anywhere from 12 to 14 month delivery time. So that's too far out, but can we or could we do what extrication needs to be done in the city limits of Laverne, yes, we could in 48 hours. So it would be up to this board. I mean, it's at your leisure of whether or not you want to forward these funds back to the Laverne Rescue Unit, or if you would want to take these same funds and forward them over to the city fire department to purchase the tools. It's a one-time purchase. So, to answer your question, yes, 48 hours we'd be ready to run vehicle extrication for the city of Laverne. Can we do it this afternoon? No.
And the current contract runs through,
June 30th.
16.
It would run
No,
through.
the current
it would-
contract they have now.
Oh, the current contract
current-
ends June 30th.
June 30th, yes, sir.
I do have a question. Do they run first responders?
No, ma'am, they do not.
So they're only,
Their sole role in the city limits of Laverne at the present time in the small section of Rutherford County that they still run is vehicle extrication. The city fire department is under agreement with Rutherford County EMS to provide all emergency medical first response within the city of Laverne. And as I said, by TCA code, fire department command is in command of all motor vehicle accidents on the scene. So, and all the personnel, as of this afternoon, all of our personnel, 100% across the board are recertified in vehicle extrication. We have been for years. That's been a prerequisite for many, many years, because we've always tried to support the rescue squad, because we don't know if they're going to have one person on the truck or 2 people on the truck or 20 people on the truck. It's a volunteer organization, and by no means are we beating up on a volunteer organization. We're about to start that same division within our own city fire department, and that was another reason for us to put that out, Alderman Broker, to give them the time to get some of their personnel. There are really, really good people on that rescue squad that deserve an opportunity, in my opinion, to have the time to get the training to come over and be part of the city fire department in the volunteer division, and possibly even move up into the paid division. So we felt like moving this on out, giving them a little bit of time to do that, would benefit us.
And I'm gonna be honest, for 3 years, we've tried and tried, and it's just us and them. There's no work in it. It doesn't work. So I can't, in good conscience. I mean, we've never created a good working relationship with them. You know, when it comes to EMS, fire, police, you got to work together, and it doesn't develop. It's never developed. I don't know if it's because it was private owned, this versus that for years, but it's still not working.
And we've broke those barriers. We've had 2 separate meetings now where we've made it all too clear that this is not the private contracted fire service anymore. This is the City of Laverne Fire Department, and we treat everybody equally. It's not that we want anybody gone or out, but I mean, we have to work together, and if you can't work together, then I'd have to agree with the vice mayor. I mean, just yesterday, we sent the city air and light truck over to fill 30 scuba bottles for them. I mean, anything that they ask us to do, we do. And I can understand them having, some legal questions about the other, but we even brought up those reasonings during the meeting and invited them to attend that very next training, and nobody from that organization showed.
And I mean, you're talking giving $60,000 to them for, it's like they said, we could have the equipment. So why would we just, at this point, we know in 18 months, why would we just give the $60,000 away? Because I mean, basically that's what you're doing. It's equipment they're going to need.
You're looking at about, and I'm going strictly off of memory, Mr. Broker, what's the contract for the rescue squad, 60,000?
40,000 a year.
40,000 a year.
48.
What we been told, 48?
Right.
I'm going off of memory help. You're looking at about a $14,000 savings roughly.
Fuel and uniform.
We can, the equipment would be 32.7.
Somewhere around there. I estimated, I went back and looked. We always have to have a plan B in the event of some type of failure. I went back and looked. Somewhere around with a total of $48,000, what you were looking at. I was looking at $50,000, $2,000 more. We will have a complete set ready to go out the door in a couple of days. With any type of anything that we look at, we always have a plan B for, and this is one of them. whether it's flooding, whether it's extrication, whether it's whatever it may be, and what the cost would be. We're looking at maybe a $2,000 difference of that. Yes, sir. That's a full set, $50,000, and we're ready to go. Here's another thing that we find out. When we respond to the motor vehicle accidents as they do, we respond with them. We are under agreement with Rutherford County Emergency Medical Service to provide medical care for not only patients that are ill and residents, but also during those motor vehicle accidents. And so we're already there. We're already responding. We're still, so you look at fuel, you look at manpower, all those kind of things, we're already doing it. You're going to look at less vehicles on the scene. Those are some of the things that we look at when we talk about scene safety, traffic control, traffic congestion, all those other kind of things. So those are some things that to consider whenever, as we grow with the Laverne Fire Department.
I know we've got a whole bunch of different angles at you with that, but I mean, we've been looking at this for several months now. I mean, ever since the buyout, that's a contingency plan we've had to have in place from day one when that occurred. Because we can't go tomorrow and not have someone providing that service. So we have looked at this in depth. I mean, we've had vendors in here, we've looked at demo tools. I mean, we've done everything that we can possibly do. Chris has spoke with the county. We have SWORD on standby for things for us at certain times. I mean, we have all kind of backup plans in order to do things. But
I'll be honest with you, I used Rutherford County's rescue truck. That's the reason I got sunburned today. We've been out in the field training. Actually been training for the last couple of weeks. This is not the first time they've trained, it's just a different kind of way. So we brought down the county truck. Had the heavy rescue down here a couple weeks ago. It was unfortunately because we couldn't utilize the tools that we have here in our city. So we had to, in fact, I drove a county truck up here so that they could train from
But that's
Salem Blackman area.
3 different trainings that we've had to
That's correct.
right.
That's correct.
borrow equipment from other places.
We've just had to adapt to obtain our training that we need and is required of us as emergency responders. We got it done. Wasn't easy. We've played musical trucks today. The guys did a great job. They're sunburned and tired, but that's part of that job.
Any other questions? Y'all got questions now, time to ask while we have them all here.
And we have all the numbers and everything. I mean, we could give you a little bit better. I mean, obviously, we didn't realize we were going to go into this tonight. So, I mean, we have everything on paper to show you. As Chief Clark says, though, this is not something that we're really adding a new role on to us. This is something that we're going to undertake regardless, whether it's now or we take it on in a year and a half or a year or 6 months. We're required to be on those scenes to begin with, so our apparatus and our personnel are already there. The only shortfall we're having right now is the actual pieces of equipment on our trucks to do the job. So, I hope that answers your question.
I did. I mean, we spoke about this, I think, a couple of times in the last 3.5 years, and you had told me at one point in time, I believe, that we were not ready. So that was my question. Are we ready to do it?
We are
I think it's
lot.
inevitable.
We are much closer than we ever have been before.
I'll
And in looking at the contingency plan, you have to understand, when I was looking at things from before, I was looking at it from a private fire service role. I couldn't make certain answers and decisions at that point. Those are decisions that I have to make now. So these are things I have to look at on a daily basis. Can we provide vehicle extrication tomorrow if our rescue squad is not there? So we've been working on that. So I can answer you in 48 hours. My answer to you will be yes.
And I can say, I mean, manpower-wise, yes, they can do it. Equipment-wise, that's what they don't have right now.
The equipment is the only thing that
personally,
right this second, the actual physical extrication tools are what we do not have.
And 2 months ago, if you'd asked me, could those guys do it? I'd have told you no. I've been watching them and training with them. I can assure you, yes, they know what they're doing now.
To give you a little example of the equipment that we would need, what we call cribbing. We're basically building bulk from the ground to the vehicle to stabilize that vehicle, whether it's on its side, whether it's on all fours, whatever it may be. We go to Lowe's, we get a cache of lumber, we cut it up, we make our own cribbing. Our hydraulic tools will cost us approximately $35,000. I know where there's a demo set for sale. One-time purchase. They're in great shape. They're less than a year old. $32,000 later, in 48 hours, they'll be sitting in our truck. We do need to purchase a set of lift bags, which somewhere, I don't know the exact figure, but it's somewhere around $6,000. That's a 64-ton lift set, which is a standard purchase in vehicle rescue. A couple of hand tools that you would find at Lowe's that we need: bolt cutters, sawzalls, things like that, that you would find in your garage that we would use out here in the field. So I estimated it at, when it was all said and done, somewhere around $45,000 to $50,000. One-time capital, most of it would be a capital expenditure.
And this is compatible equipment with the stuff that would come on the apparatus that we've also put in those pieces of equipment as well. It's not different equipment, it's just alike equipment, so it would be used right on. It wouldn't be something that we would just shelf after the new equipment got here. It would just be utilized in. Our air and light truck, we've already priced a pull-out tray to be able to put this equipment on that truck. It's $3,300. So, as Chris said, around $50,000 is where we're sitting at, looking at being able to do the job.
So basically, we're spending the money, we just need to decide how we want to spend the money.
And we're going to work this regardless, just so y'all know. We're going to do this job with or without Laverne Rescue Squad. But they're going to have to work with us. We can't work separate. We're going to do this whether you tell us we need to have this done in 48 hours, we're going to make it happen. If you tell us 6 months, we'll make that happen. If you tell us to carry it out until the 2016, January 1st, then that's what we're going to do as well. But we as a city fire department now have no choice but to make sure that we are ready as quick as we can possibly be ready to do this. Some people may go out and say, well, you've been just trying to take us over. This is what you wanted to do. This is what you've always wanted to do. That's not true at all. We have a lot of projects in fire right now, as y'all can already see. But it's our job to make sure that citizens of Laverne and the people passing through Laverne are safe as we can possibly make them. And if we have an event happen, we have to be able to do what we need to do.
And I'll be honest, I've went back and forth with this for 3 years, and this is just what my gut tells me. I can't consciously do this any longer. You know, being out there, working as a first responder on the scenes, it's not what's right, and I can't do it anymore. There's too many safety issues, not working together. Somebody's going to get hurt, whether it's all the vehicles responding, not leaving the scene, using these tools, not working together. It's too much liability. You know, and I've tried for 3 years.
Well,
and consciously, I can't do it.
Well, we have to rely on you. I go with fires. If the police need us on scenes, I go there. I don't do wrecks. I don't do blood and guts. So we have to rely on you guys to lay the facts out and let us know these things. Because you're the only one with these guys that see it firsthand.
I've been on an ambulance 22 years. Mm-hmm. You give me those tools, I couldn't open a can. Mm-hmm. I know what the stuff should do, and I've watched them for 2 months training. You know, Chris trains them with ropes, just simple stuff. Every day they're training, doing something, and I consciously feel like they are ready. Mm-hmm. And I can't see just to get, you know, basically giving away 60 grand that you're not going to get anything back for. Just give them the tools, let them do it. Because, I mean, that's where you're going to be in 18 months anyway. You know, the rescue squad, they're great guys, but you just can't get past that working relationship. It's just not happening.
And this would not close the door, as I said, this volunteer program, provided it goes through.
I'd love,
They still have the opportunity to meet all those requirements, come on and test and be a part of this city fire department, just like anybody else would be able to. The prerequisites are all that we're asking.
I'd love
This
for
would
them
not
to come
shut
on.
that door at all for any of their members.
you know, I'd love for them, some of them to come on to the volunteer side. Will they? I doubt it. I feel like over the years, there's been something has kept that from happening, and it's never gonna change. There's never gonna be a working relationship. They're not gonna come over and be part of the team. It's just, I don't feel like it's ever gonna happen. You know, we've extended Olive Branch, we've tried, like I said, you know, to work with them. And there, I could sit here and name a handful. I'd love to see come over to the fire department side and volunteer, but I just don't think they will.
I guess to throw another curveball in though, if we decided this, where would the money come from? Because we're still in this budget year, we're talking about this 60,000.
Correct.
We're still under contract to June 30th
Right,
Right.
okay, but
with them.
In my opinion, if you're looking to move this forward quicker, rather than saying in 48 hours, we want you guys at City Fire to take this over, I would run the duration of the current contract.
And at this point, I mean, if they're watching, I don't, you know, I'd hope they wouldn't, but I wouldn't be surprised to get a phone call that we just won't do it. You know, because they're based.
And those are the things that we've been looking at.
That, you
That's
know, for
how.
them to
That's
think-
why I can tell you in 48 hours I can have
For
a
them
set
to
of
call and
tools
say,
here.
hey, the vice mayor don't want us, y'all do it, you know, and I would hope it wouldn't come to that. I hope we could finish out through June. But, you know, they've got a plan.
The best case scenario is if you do want to move it forward before January 1st of 2016, is to sit back down with the rescue squad and ask them if they are willing to just run through the duration of this continuing contract we have now to the new budget year. And then obviously, instead of the money, the 48 going over back to the rescue squad, July 1st, it would be used to purchase tools for City Fire. That's best, to me, in best case scenario, if you want to expedite it and move it up. Because y'all know where we are with this. We have to provide some, we have to do what we have to do on our side, but it's up to this board of how and when you want us to do that. We're preparing ourselves to do that for you and for the city, but obviously somebody up there is going to have to make that decision and give us what that time and date will be.
Can we get any kind of idea what kind of service, though, we are getting under this contract? I mean, can somebody please enlighten us? Like I said, we're not, your guys are on the wrecks, we are not.
They respond to every MVA. They're currently dispatched by Rutherford County EMS. We're not dispatching them through our PSAP here in Laverne. They're being dispatched by Rutherford County EMS for extrication. They run the same number of MVAs that we do as far as how many true extrications or pin-ins that they have. That would probably vary year to year from 3 to 10. So, I mean, actual extrications in progress in the city of Laverne, I would say maximum.
I did one last year.
10,
I mean,
15.
literally.
Maximum.
I had to have one extrication, and I had one person there on the rescue truck at the time. And the fire department had to help do it. I mean, there's just not a good, I mean, I'm not trying to badmouth them, but it's not working.
And that's part of the reason that nationwide it is part of the fire service now. It's just one more little extension of what fire service is providing as well. As of just a rounded service. It's like medical first responder. That's not something 10 or 15 years ago was happening in fire service, but now, look at the city of Murfreesboro. They're about to go from first responder to BLS, and would not surprise me at all if they're not ALS in the next 5 years. I mean, the city of Franklin. I mean, it's the trend, it's where it's going. We're a growing community. We've got growing pains. This is where we are, and we have no choice but to provide adequate services.
Well, they're moving from larger cities to here too, and
Exactly.
they're accustomed to having it.
Exactly. But y'all point us in the direction you want us to go, and we'll make it happen. The quickest we could make it happen would be 48 hours with $50,000, if that helps you.
I think we'd also have to look at the bidding process and what we have to do there as well.
Correct.
Emergency
Charlotte
purchasing.
Cooperative, there are some avenues that we don't currently, that was another thing that we'd be talking about. There are avenues that we could go. I think we could probably make that happen as well.
I think if the board decides not to go with the contract to extend with the services, we would have to look at bidding the equipment we would need, getting that back to the June council meeting. And this is providing that they're still willing to finish out their contract, which I think they would be legally, liable to do so. Bring that back to the June meeting to approve the purchase and get that ordered and in place by July 1st.
Any other questions? Any other comments?
Well, if we have this contract with them, how can we back out? What can we do?
Well, that's what they're saying.
It's- right.
If they will stay till June the 1st with their contract, we're fine.
Correct.
Yeah,
July 1st.
but it,
I mean,
July 1st.
July 1st,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We're,
yeah.
Yes, ma'am,
We-
and that's what we're saying. To me, best case scenario is that they carry through their contract, that they honor it out as they should, and we work forward towards, if that's what council is wanting, is to move it forward that 1 year, is to just let them carry their current existing contract on out to end, and by that time, we can definitely have everything in place that we need to have in place.
I believe the current contract indicates if either party gets out, we still have a 30-day notice.
Right, yeah.
So basically, what this board needs to decide, and it would be, I guess, this next budget year, because this is part of the budget, this
Correct.
contract. It's
Right.
part of the
Yeah, we were
budget.
discussing redoing it another 18 months, and
Yeah.
I can't consciously do it.
So what this board needs to decide is if you're ending it with this contract's ending for 2014, it ends, or if you want to continue it to 18 months till 2016. So that's where we're at. If for whatever reason it's decided as of July 1,
My suggestion is gonna be July 1 to just end it.
then if that vote Tuesday night shows that, then it will already be in the works to have that equipment here on July 1.
Correct,
Because the money would be there either way for the new budget.
right.
The termination clause in the proposed contract is 60 days. I don't have the existing contract in front of me.
I think
I
it
don't
was,
think that got changed.
I think it was 60 as
So
well.
I think it's still 60 days.
We moved it out, I think we did the same thing, and it is
So
60.
we're already within 60 days of July 1st.
I was thinking when we signed it ending June 30th, 2014.
It is. The contract goes through June 30th.
Correct, yeah.
But there's a termination provision in it. If they wanted to terminate, which there's an at-will termination in here, if they wanted to, they would have to provide 60 days notice.
Right.
If that's what it is.
Right.
So even if tomorrow they caught wind and they wanted to terminate, it would be a distinction without a difference because it would be June 30th anyway.
Right,
Yeah, so
and it would just lapse.
if y'all have questions, I suggest you contact Nikki, Chris, or Mike.
And we can give you the hard numbers. Like I said, I mean, we have the documentation.
I've got them at station too, ma'am, but I've been dealing with numbers all
As we said, there are a lot of contingency plans that we have in place that we don't come up here every week and talk to everybody about, but we know things happen. So we're trying to build, that's what we've been working on SOPs for the new department. All of those contingency plans are built into those SOPs as well. So this is not something that we're just pulling out of the air. I mean, we're having to do this across the board with a lot of things. And it's not just vehicle extrication, it's water rescue, it's confined space. I mean, with this being a municipal department now, there's just a lot of things that have to be done and a lot of things that we have to keep up with the times on.
And that we would be responsible for.
Correct.
Regardless, because
Correct.
of this.
I mean, we don't come to this board every time that there's a bump in the road with something. We've been down 2 ladder trucks for 3 days now. One's been out for over 2 months. You're gonna see later tonight, bids for a huge amount of money to replace outdated equipment. It's a big number. But, you know, we've been without one of our ladder trucks now for 2 months because of poor preventive maintenance up to this point. That truck's probably gonna have a $25,000 to a $30,000 repair bill attached to it when it comes back. Our current budget for next year, we've got $250,000 in preventive maintenance and repair built into that. That's the payment on new apparatus that's dependable and we know is gonna do what and serve the community the way that it should serve it. So these are all things that we're already working on behind the scenes. It's just when it gets brought up, thankfully we've already been working on this a whole lot, so it's come up now and we do have you some good answers. So.
But I would like, if possible, if y'all could make yourselves available, because we do have a complete week. We do not meet back here to next Thursday. Make an appointment one at a time now. Y'all can't go together. So
Talk to them. I mean,
call these guys, sit down. If y'all could try to work them in, some time frames, y'all got their numbers, call them. They'll sit down with y'all and ask questions. Because, I mean, I will be doing the same.
that's all I can tell you. Just talk to them.
So,
One-on-one, as a group, 3 of them, whatever. But you
do.
really should talk to them.
Any more questions? Comments? I do have one question here. The rest of the agenda is going to be quite lengthy. It's going to be in-depth conversation. With the sprinklers, we've got, we need to discuss in great length performance valuations. If we got stuff here that we can take a little break? Is it here? Is that okay? Chris, I know you're on call.
That's fine. I mean, this little black box could go off at any time.
Yeah.
I mean,
So if you don't mind at this time, because we do have several different things that's going to be a great deal of discussion, I'm going to call a brief break, and we'll be back here. Can we say 15 minutes? Does that give everybody enough time? Okay, I'll call this meeting recess.